welcome to So You Think You're Awake, the show about life transformation through dream interpretation. I'm Michael Sheridan. On this show, through analysing your dreams, I reveal your potential and the obstacles you need to overcome. I'm very specific. I tell you the magic power you have, what makes you magnificent, and the bumps in life that are holding you back. These bumps are not in the way, they are the way. To get in on the action, go to dream-analysis.com, fill in the form and submit your dream to the show. That's it. That's all you have to do. I will take it from there. On Tuesday the 17th, I'm attending an event that is part of Anne Tucker's Wisdom Soup. Here's the thing. I'm a nerd and I love tech. And I persuaded Anne to go global and broadcast her events on the web. She gets great speakers all the time. You know they have to be great because sometimes she asks me to speak. Ta-dum. But you always had to be local to Seattle. Not anymore. On Tuesday the 17th, she's going global. The speaker is Jun Shimizu, and his presentation is entitled Come Learn About Quantum Entanglement. It's how distance healing works. And then there's a description. All you need to do is go to the website annetucker.com and click on online events, and you'll be able to sign up for it anywhere you are in the world. But the detail goes a little bit like this. We know that distance healing works, but how? No, we don't, Jun. I'm sure a lot of people who are listening to this show would actually wonder, does it work at all? But I'm definitely interested in you telling me the science behind it, because if you mention quantum entanglement, I bet you there's science. But I'm not going to understand anything that you're saying, but I'll enjoy it nonetheless. I'm only kidding, of course. There's going to be a presentation. He's going to demonstrate something at it as well. But this is the first time that it's going to be broadcast live. But go to the website, look up the details there, get the proper description, and don't be as cynical as me. So let's start into the show. 2 weeks ago, I interpreted 2 dreams from Lynn. Remember Lynn? Of course you do. Her dreams are why I did a show on lifelong illness. Anyway, Lynn was kind enough to write to me after she heard her dreams interpreted. She said, I just wanted to write you a quick note to thank you for interpreting my dreams on the show. You spent so much time with them and took such care with your explanations. There were a lot of things you said that really hit home hard and made me wonder why I didn't see them before. I'm not new to dream interpretation, but there was a lot I missed here. Just answering your insightful questions brought some of it out, and then you really pulled everything together on the show. And of course, I've said this before, I don't just usually say what the dream is on the show and say what it means. I usually interact with the dreamer. Well, I say usually. Sometimes I do, especially if it's a dream that's going to be interesting for you to hear what's going on in the dreamer's life. Anyway, she says, I added one more special thank you for pointing out that getting whisked off to the adoption center right after birth was more than maybe traumatic. I enjoy your show very much, and I'm learning a lot. Thank you again for all you do. Well, thank you, Lynn. Thank you very much for writing in, taking the time to do that. We all have gifts. This just happens to be mine. We all have gifts. You have gifts. Everybody has gifts. What are yours? And if you don't know what they are, why don't you know what they are? And if you do know what they are, why aren't you using them? And if you are using them, are you using them to the fullest of your potential? That's what it's all about. I mean, there's a lot more. Lynn's dreams were about healing, and almost everybody has to do some healing in their lives, and that's how we grow spiritually. But that's great. It's all fun. So let's have a look at more dreams. Jack writes, I keep having a recurring dream. I'm in the muddy lake outside my childhood home. I keep seeing a snake in the water. It's of dark colour. I grab the snake behind the head so as not to get bit. But when I try to exit the lake via climbing onto the dock with the snake in my left hand, I can't climb out, but don't want to release the snake so that I don't get bitten. I continue to struggle climbing out with the snake in hand to no avail until I wake. This has been recurring for over a month or 2. Well, when it's gone on for that long, it's definitely something you want to look at, and you want to definitely look at what you're eating. What has changed in your eating habit in the last couple of months? And it could be a drink. You could have changed the flavor of beer you drink. Who knows what it is? And you need to find that out and cut that out of your diet, because this stream is about your elimination system, and a warning. It's only a warning of an illness there that you definitely don't want to get. So we know that anyway. Why do we know it's the elimination system? Because of the mud. That tells us it's the elimination system. And did he say anything about the lake? No, he didn't. I thought he might have said where where it was. So there we see it. It's given in two ways. The dock, which is about the start of life or birth, ship's birth at a dock, and you struggled to get out of the lake onto the dock. So that's a struggle you had at the start of your life. And that's what you need to heal. That's what you need to go back and look at and do something that fixes that, because this is the energy imprint behind why you're having this particular problem. Yes, use any other solution, any other medical assistance you can get, but also fix the cause as well as addressing the symptoms. Now, you also say it's the lake back where you grew up, where your parents were. So that's enough to tell us as well that this is something that comes from the start of your life. Anyway, my neighbor, a best friend, dreamed my deceased son of 6 years came to her and said, "Tell my mom to sign my bed." What does that mean? Well, that comes in from Kay. Very simple, isn't it? And so here's the thing I do. When people can channel and they get information for other people, you don't just go up to it, even especially somebody that's close to you, and say, "Hey, the invisible beings that are standing behind you, they told me to tell you this." So I tell people, just tell them that you had a dream that said, you never, exactly like this. You'll never guess what. I had a dream where your son came to me and he told me to tell you this. Isn't that mad? And then you've told her, even though it wasn't in a dream. So good on you, Kay, for figuring out that way to do it. So why is he saying that? Now, I did write to Kay and ask for some details, but we didn't get them. So signing the bed is really about him saying, it's like, somebody signing my cast. You're only going to let people you like sign your cast, and you kind of like show it off. Yeah, look at all the people who signed my cast. And so him saying sign the bed is him saying he wants you to acknowledge your part in his life. And that's going to be significant for whatever reason. But that's what it's about. And Kay's a channel, Kay is the person who sent this in, but your friend is a channel. So we've dropped her in it there. That's always fun. So let's see, I'm getting my pages mixed up here. What have we got next? Sing among yourselves there. Okay. This one is from Maria. It's called The Plane. She says, "I'm watching from the side of a runway a plane take off. On the other side of the track, there is a hill that begins just at the edge of the track and rises several meters as if it had been cut by a knife. Something happens with the plane that once it takes off, it has some fault and goes directly to a hotel at the end of the runway. It seems that it's going to crash and everyone will die. But the plane turns into a huge Pegasus and with the front legs knocks down the huge entrance door of the hotel and gallops into the lobby." It's a very Hollywood ending here. "Climbs the stairs, landing without ever getting hurt. The hotel manager is waiting for him up the stairs and congratulates him for having managed to land without victims." Well, of course, there was a victim, and you're the victim, Maria. This dream is about your birth and your arrival at birth. So the hotel is about your arrival at birth. That's what it's always going to mean for people in dreams. But why Pegasus? So that's what we get. Okay, so difficult start to life, almost didn't make it, and a good danger that you would get injured in the process. So it's about you having the ability. Think about what Pegasus did. Pegasus was Hercules' pet, let's say, and allowed Hercules travel between Earth and the gods. So Pegasus represents your ability to channel. You're a channel, and you came here with this channeling ability. And the reason you got the channeling ability was because of the difficult start where you almost didn't make it. Even though you say, no, everything was fine, it was great. But yeah, I think that's everything I need to say in that dream. It's grand. Here's a short dream from Jane. Dreamt that my husband's son was outside on a sunny day getting ready to mow the lawn. I come out just as he pulls the start cord and nothing happens. I try to tell him that there's no fuel in the lawnmower because we had to empty the tank to move it. But before I can say anything, he gets all frustrated and yells that it's broken. So I contacted Jane because this is fairly obvious. The lawnmower, well, of course, we're going to find out something because she tells us afterwards, but I didn't know this at the time. So lawnmowers and grass are about your heart, and the petrol in the tank is about passion in your heart, because it's what fuels the engine, and the engine's about your heart. No matter what an engine is in, it's always going to be about your heart. Lesson of the day. So anyway, I wrote to her and I said, so is something going on now where you feel drained and frustrated, like you've lost the passion for it? And she replied, she said, I've lost passion for my clinical research work, definitely. And I've become so frustrated that some days I really dread going to work at all. And this is so the opposite of how I used to be. But my husband and I are making plans to exit and move into a spiritual career in 2 to 3 years or less. Well, I would definitely highlight that or less part of your answer there. So why did you even send this in? You already know what's going on in your life. And then you say, oh, I wonder if this could link directly to that change I felt since the move. We moved house and I emptied the tank of the lawnmower for the move. Well, yes, of course it does. So even though the symbols they still work, this is why you pick the lawnmower, because it's the perfect symbol and it fits in with what's going on around you. And that's what we do. We pick symbols that are from our life. Like if you watch a horror movie, you're going to have a nightmare. It's as simple as that. We're going to pick symbols from the events of the day, but it's how those symbols interrelate with each other in the dream that make the difference. So here it's your husband's son is trying to start the lawnmower. Now, I would guess if I asked you about your husband's son, how is his business going? It wouldn't be going very well. And it's frustrating for him too. So it's going to pick somebody in your life or somebody that you know that you can say, yeah, this is what's going on for them. But it's easier to look at somebody else and say, you know, they need to do something different. Their heart is in what they're trying. They need to do something different. But we don't always see that for ourselves. But anyway, you see it for you, and that's definitely what you do. You said, all I ever want to do now is stay home. And of course, it's not stay home. It's stay home and do this other work. So moving on. This one is from Leah, and we got 2 dreams from 2 Leahs. I actually thought it was the same person initially, but it's not. Leah says, I just wanted to say hi. Loved your talk at the summit. Well, thank you very much. And this dream is called The Lion and the Baby. And see, from the title, thank you for titling your dream, because we can always tell from the title already what's going on in the dream. So you say, I was with some other people when a big lion appeared standing among us. I was immediately terrified and went in a house and hid behind a chair in the corner. The lion walked in and was following me. It was attracted to my scent. He was calm and licked my arm and rubbed his chin against my shoulder, not affectionately, but possibly to explore. I petted it a tiny bit. Well, fair play to you, Leah. I wouldn't. Still scared, but not knowing what to do and not wanting to encourage it. I worried a lot that it would smell my fear and attack. And you said you have a real life concern with dogs. And I was thinking, I'll read another bit of the dream in a minute. I was thinking of Leslie Nielsen and his movie, The Smell of Fear, Naked Gun. But anyway, so here, that wouldn't work for you because you only had a chair. Everybody knows from watching circuses that you need a chair and a whip to control a lion. And then you would have been fine. But anyway, I'm only kidding. So you say that the lion was attracted to you. You say by your scent, but it doesn't matter. The fact that it was attracted to you is really important. What is a lion about? I think it's come up lots of times on the dream. So I'd say if we had fingers on the buzzers, a lot of people would be telling me what it is now. It's about spiritual leadership. It says you're a spiritual leader. A lion is king of the jungle. A king is a leader, yada, yada, yada. So you have spiritual leadership and you brought it with you right from the start of your life. And now we get a bit more about why that is. See, you said you went into a house. Now, quite often, approaching and entering a building is about you going into your body because a building is a physical thing and you, your soul, at the start of your journey enters your body. So is that what that bit is about for you? Let's see. Let's read on. You say, somehow I got away from the chair and went into a room and closed the door. I could tell the lion was going to get through the door, so I retreated to an interior room. So now we know you're going further in. So this is about you going into mom's body. And, you have this gift with you, but you're afraid to use your spiritual leadership gift. And that's a common enough thing. I'll get into that in a moment. You say it was a bathroom and the door was closed. A woman was taking a bath and her baby was in the room with her. I asked if I could come in and she didn't exactly give me permission or respond, but I went in anyway and closed the door behind me. The lion came over and was able to peer in through the crack in the door. When it saw the baby, its expression was one of compassion and understanding. And thank you very much to the HP printer, which decided to waken up just now. But so it means at the start of life, like we have it here, you said You asked the woman if I could come in, and she didn't exactly give me permission or respond. And she's in a bathroom or in a bath, same thing. So it's saying that you need to cleanse the whole idea that you didn't get the invite from mom that you deserved at the start of life. Not that you deserved, you definitely deserved it, but it's like people decide to have kids and then they blame the kid for arriving. Now I'm being PG friendly here. They may not decide to have kids, but they certainly decided to do something that's going to make them have kids. And then they blame the kid for their entrance into the world. So here in this case, you didn't get the welcome from mom. You didn't really get the permission that you felt. And of course, that's part of why you didn't have the bond that you needed to have, or that you wanted to have, let's say, that every one of us wants to have a proper bond with the earth plane and a bond with mom. But that poor bond is what led you to retain your spiritual leadership ability across the threshold, say, from the spirit world to the physical world. So yeah, that's a good one. So didn't get permission to enter the womb, and that's what you need to clear. So now we have a dream from another Leah, different age, different surname, and she says, "It's been a long time since I dreamed of such oh yeah, this is a horrible dream. It's been a long time since I dreamed of such abuse, but I used to be afraid to sleep through my teen years because of the nightmares, brutality, assault, demonic possession, truly terrifying things. I also had recurring nightmares as a child. Nightmares are less usual for me now in adulthood." Well, actually, that's normal. Kids have a lot of nightmares. It's all to do with getting used to being in the body and being mortal and all the other things that go with that. I've often mentioned it on the show. But and as we get to adulthood, in fact, kids die a lot in their dreams, and when we become an adult, we forget that, and we think, oh, if I die in my dream, I could die in reality. All that type of thing that you also see in movies, which of course isn't true. Anyway, Leah says, "Embrace yourself. I was in a large building. I was reading the labels of packaged foods, looking for added oil so I could avoid it. Rice milk was one of those containers, and I put it back in the stack. I walked on. An Asian woman in traditional historic clothing got in trouble for something. I don't remember exactly what, but the governing officials, all male, declared she must be punished. Her aide, also male, lay on the floor on his stomach and asked in earnest if he could take her punishment for her or with her. The whole guard lay upon the floor around her, and she told them no, she would accept the punishment. It was lashes." Now here's where you need to brace yourself, really. She says, "A huge man picked her up by the front of her dress, flung her high in the air, and holding her back all the way down, smashed her face down into the floor. I was horrified. I knew a force like that probably broke some ribs. The officials announced her beating over an intercom. They were whipping her. Her guard lay around her but did not beat them." Did I read that right? "Another female and I were watching this unfold. I stayed where I was. I decided to wait out her punishment and told myself it would be over soon. It wasn't stopping. On and on. They had said 30 lashes, but it felt like forever. I saw wood splintering under the woman." So the wood splintering is important. So was the original being thrown to the floor. And the food at the start. Remember, there was food at the start. "I saw this wood splintering under the woman, and I could hear every snap of the whip. I was so disgusted I turned away and lightly covered my ears with cupped hands, but did not block it out. The female next to me was upset." And I've skipped a page, which is always fun because my answer is on the next page. "The female next to me was upset but showed nothing on her face. The men called for a break before her final few lashes so they could change out the whip." Oh, the poor men, the punishers must have been exhausted. "I couldn't imagine how she had any lashings left. I turned back to her, wondering why I stayed and put myself through this horror." Now here we go. You put yourself through this horror. Remember that bit. "The force of the beating had broken her through the floor where she lay in a square hole, her head just visible. The back of her head, and I assume the rest of her back, was soaked in red blood. Her head swayed, and I didn't understand how she could still be conscious. She was tougher than I thought possible, but her wounds, how would they heal and not leave her half covered in huge scars? Her aide scrambled to be beside her and comfort her. I was so angry, I felt rage burning up within me." And she says, "I woke, my stomach on fire, nauseous, angry and sad. I couldn't sleep. I was so disturbed." And I can imagine that, as is everybody else who's heard your dream now. So thank you for sharing it with the world. I've seen this type of dream before. And I wrote and I asked Leah, I said, "As bad as this dream seems, it is about food intolerance. Do you eat Asian foods? If so, how does it affect you? And then I asked, does she get various symptoms? And I said, other people I've gotten dreams like this from ended up with gallbladder problems that required an operation. What did you eat the night before the dream? So if you've had a dream that's similar to this, and we know it's about her elimination system because of the wood and the wood splintering, we know it's also about food because she's looking at processed foods at the start. And the whole dream is about being careful about not taking the wrong food in. And here's why, because it aggravates your body. Your body has a violent reaction to the food that you take in. And that's all this is. Very symbolic, and it just shows you that this really sets you back. Like, you eat that food and it's really, really bad for you. And it's not like a case of, oh, I'll take it a little bit. So when we see it's an Asian woman, we know it's Asian food. So you can't touch that type of food. Anyway, she wrote back. She said, and there is more to the dream, but she wrote back and said, it depends on the type of Asian food, but anything with a lot of oil like Chinese food is a no-go. Anything fried too. Sometimes I can eat something, the next day I can't. No, the answer is you can't eat it. You can never eat it. Just sometimes it takes a while for the intolerance to build up. And that's the way it works. And so you take it one day and your body is really set off, but you don't notice. Next time you take it, it's like, okay, it's just too much. And your body screams. You said, I actually have fairly bad digestion issues, even as an infant, that affected me daily, and I have started getting more and more food intolerances in the last decade. I do not remember what I ate the night before. However, I was in Puerto Rico shortly before having the dream and ate foods I typically avoid. I've listened to your radio program and I started asking about food before I sleep, and this is one of the dreams I had. So she went to bed, seeded the idea of having a dream about her food intolerance, and what did she have? She had a dream about her food intolerance that she could send to the show. See, your higher self knows that if you send a dream to the show, that I'm going to interpret it properly and tell you what it means. How cool is that? So what else does the dream tell us? It tells us that the issues with your digestive system are linked to dad, because we have a male. Well, I say dad, it's linked to a male, and it's almost always dad. So it's linked to a male, or it's linked to dad, and we know it's in the past because she's getting lashes on her back. And the back in a dream or anything behind you in a dream is to do with your past. So this is about pain in the past, scars in the past, that even in this dream you're saying, how is this woman going to heal from these scars? Now, it's not necessarily physical abuse like this from your dad, but it is something that has scarred you in the past from your dad. And it's enough to have triggered this let's say, issue with male energy, because the digestive system and elimination system are governed by male energy. So you have an issue there, to get the energy flowing right to help heal your system, you need to work on the issue with that. The other thing we know is that you're a channel. You have the ability to hear your guides. How do we know that? Because there is an announcement made over the intercom. That also means that you have the ability to project your mind. You can be very rational, very comfortable in your headspace, working out what you need to do intellectually. You're influential. You can influence people because you have this strong mind, and so on. Anyway, I'll write to you after the show, after you hear this, and we can talk about it more. Which is always, it's something I've extended, not just people who call into the show, but people I do dreams for that have things like this. We're not just going to do it on the air, make it entertaining for other people, and then leave you hanging. So I'll follow it up with an honest discussion about what's in the dream and things that I may not have said on the air. So that gives you another reason to send your dreams into the show. Okay, let's quickly move on to another dream that will make us forget that one completely. This one is from Alba. She says, first of all, congratulations on the podcast. I've just discovered it and it's quickly become one of my favorites. Fascinating stuff. Well, that's great, except for you said one of your favorites. Why not your favorite, Alba? Anyway, after listening to one of your episodes last night, I asked my guides if they had any messages for me that they could send me through a dream, which I would write down in the morning. I did have a dream, and here it is. So again, see, two people in a row. One person asked for a dream that said, why do I have these food allergies? Why are they getting worse? What do I need to do to heal it? The answer is work on the issues around your dad. And this person said, what have I got? Give me the dream. I don't even need to understand it because I know about this radio show. So she says, I was at my parents' house where I grew up with my mum and my sister in a room downstairs where we have a piano. I was writing and my mum said that my handwriting was terrible. So she arranged for my aunt to come over and teach me. My aunt, however, didn't turn up, at the arranged time. So my mum said she'd teach me. She asked me to choose a colour for each musical note and then colour in the note on a music sheet with each corresponding colour. She asked me what colour I thought corresponded to a particular note. I think it was E, or in Spanish, mi, which is the language I use for music, because she's half Irish, half Spanish, she tells me. What a great combination. And then she says, I wonder, is it a pun? Of course it is, me, it's about you. And I said, pink. No, never pink. But picked out the orange colour. I explained that I was actually thinking of pink. Then I coloured in the whole sheet. But when I looked, I realised that I'd covered everything in orange. You said there was more to this dream later on involving our cat who had some sort of UTI, rubbish that Mom was putting in the fridge instead of outside, and bottles of milk that she was keeping outside instead of in the fridge. I said, it's the world upside down. Okay, so first of all, you are a writer, and we know you're a writer because you said right at the start, where is it? I was writing and my mum said that my handwriting was terrible. Okay, so we know you're a writer because the writing is a feature in the dream. But do you think you're a good writer? The answer is no, you don't. Why do you think you're not a good writer? Well, that's given straight away. Because your mom. It's issues with your mom have you thinking that your writing is terrible. And it's not terrible. You're a writer. You write. We also know you're a channel because of the piano. Now, you said you have a piano and you'd sent a few dreams into the show. So I looked ahead and I skimmed ahead and I saw several dreams, some about dolphins, some about other things. So you've lots of symbols for channeling. So you're also a channel. And that's really cool. And that's what the piano was about. And so it's about finding the right key, tuning in, hearing what your guides are saying, just like you said in the dream, before the dream, asking your guides. But you can actually hear your guides. You can work on that and that'd be really good. So you need to work on the issues around your mom, and I'll be in touch with you about more of your dreams directly to say exactly what it is you need to do. And then later on you say the cat who had some sort of UTI and the rubbish. So mom putting stuff, the rubbish in the fridge in the dream represents your stomach, so issues with the stomach. And orange is also a colour, as a colour is healing. Now, you said you wanted to pull out the pink. Now, the pink alone would tell us that you have issues with your mom. Apart from the fact that you show us in the dream, because your mom is pretty nasty to you in the dream, telling you your writing is terrible. So we know that you've got that issue. But the pink alone would tell us that you have a poor bond with mom. That's what you need to work on. And I'm looking at the clock. So you also have elimination system problems, and that's what the orange is trying to heal. And it's saying if you get into writing and channeling, that's going to help you. And you definitely have a problem with milk. And that problem with milk is connected to mom, which is obvious because she is the one that puts that outside. So we are now out of time. That's my show for this week. If you want me to analyze your dream on the show, go to dream-analysis.com and fill in the form. If you want to attempt your own analysis, you can get my free dictionary, symbol dictionary at the same location. And until next week, I'm Michael Sheridan.